Evening. Good to be back again. Good to be back again. I have a few new things for you to do today, and bear with me. Yeah. Okay. We've got some funny stuff, some serious stuff, and I'm going to start off with the serious stuff. I think this one is it's a new one, and I debuted it in the weekend on a virtual gig in Singapore. It's called It's a Small World. Thinking is difficult. That's why most people judge, why most people make assumptions. An assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups, where people's dreams are controlled by others. It's such a small world on repeat. Where the street is not a safe place to be in today's, tomorrow's history, a history that today we don't learn from. We don't concern ourselves over. Where children die of hunger and their father dies of the want of respect because the white man, the far right man, thinks the left man, the bereft man is a lesser man. It's a small world on repeat. And corporations pay millions to other corporations, but little to the taxman, and pay no attention to those who cannot afford to pay into the business. The situation then becomes a fight between the wrong and the right and the left behind and the go-ahead, living, dying, dead. It's a small world on repeat. When you look at Schrodinger's coffin, do you wonder if inside and outside are both the same? Can you play and not play the game? But, and it's a big but, when we care for all, does it really mean all? Should we care for those that hate, those that want to rule and ruin, those that don't care? It's a small world on repeat. The enemy doesn't arrive by boat. He arrives by limousine. The enemy isn't always within. Sometimes they are without a moral guide, a convenient amnesia. With reference to the relentless war, you appear to have thrown the pin at the enemy, but left the grenade in your trench. It's a small world on repeat. When you have no home and you steal milk, you end up in jail. When you're a royal pervert, you get a medal. When you are a Tory manager and a paedophile to boot, you get a slap on the wrist. They can't be trusted. It's one lie after the other. Even when they are caught out, they'll try and blame someone else. It's a small world on repeat. It's a small world, but wide. Right, this is one I did, excuse me if I look at the weekend. It's the very first time I've ever done a collaborative piece. I wrote it with a poet friend. She lives in Virginia, and she posted a cartoon on her Facebook one day, which led us to doing this piece together. I don't have her half of it, so I only have mine. Coincidentally, both were called You Have the Right. We had no idea what we're going to call it. They both came up with this. And it finished with a cartoon, which I'll try and hold up at the end for you. You have the right to walk the streets. You have the right to love your family. You have the right to go to work. You have the right to be a jerk. You have the right to lie in your bed. You have the right to the thoughts in your head. You have the right to go to the store. You have the right to swim by the shore. You have the right to live your life. You have the right to be with your wife. You have the right to be who you are. You have the right to sit in your car. You have the right to have a drink. You have the right to think how you think. You have the right to protest and march. You have the right to make your mark. You have the right to go to your church. You have the right to not be smirched. You have the right to turn your back. You have the right to not get attacked. You have the right to stay out of jail. You have the right to try and fail. You have the right to remain silent, but anything you say may be used in evidence against you. You have the right to a lawyer. If you haven't got one, a court-appointed lawyer will be given to you. You have the right not to speak. You have the right to be meek. You have the right to be heard. You have the right to be a nerd. You have the right to be wrong. You have the right to be strong. You have the right to take the knee. You have the right to have the same rights as me. You have the right to vote. You have the right to be remote. You have the right to draw back. You have the right to be black. You have the right to survive. You have the right to remain alive. You have the right to remain silent. And I'm going to do a silly one. It's kind of like it's called a found poem. It's when you highlight words in a book or something and makes it into a poem. This is slightly different, where it's words I found online or sentences I found online. I've added some bits to it myself, other words, and it's actually called percontation point. And if you don't know what a percontation point is, it's a question mark that's written backwards, out of use now, but it was used when asking an ironical or sarcastic question. It was the best of rhymes, it was the worst of rhymes. Half of a person's beauty comes from the tongue. Half the world hates the other half. Half measures are what governments facilitate. Why? How did people figure out it was cicadas making that noise? For thousands of years, people thought the trees were screaming. But trees don't scream, do they? I mean, where did barn owls live before barns were invented? And how did they survive for centuries before having somewhere to live? Why do people think there is nothing that rhymes with orange? But I'm sure Captain Henry Gorringe, real person, standing in the sporangium, would disagree. But do you know a word that rhymes with purple? Then God told Adam, "You are the first creature." And Adam said, "Yeah, what about that over there?" And God said, "I don't know. She was there when I got here." And Eve approached with Keith Richards on her arm. "Sorry, mate, we've run out of apples," he mumbled. In the library, why are the books on paranoia always behind you? And why does the librarian say, "Shush," and so loudly? When the farmer had only 39 sheep, the sheepdog put 48 sheep in the pen. He was a clever pup. The farmer thought he had only 39, but the dog rounded them up. Thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm going to try and find, I've got another one I did somewhere and I can't find it anymore. So, yeah, no, we'll do this one. I wrote this one, you've probably seen it online. Some of you know it was my birthday today. I'm not as old as some people. But I wrote this as virtually a thanks to everyone who wished me a happy birthday, and on here too. It's called Birthday. I'm now another year older in the 7th decade of my life. My wonderful life. The life I share with my wife. My wonderful wife. Slow down? Nah. I can't run as much as before. But that doesn't take much, as I rarely ran before. I don't read as much as I used to, sadly. My eyes close unwillingly. I count the cards I get on one hand plus one finger. But I linger not, as it's better for the environment to receive digital wishes and virtual kisses. I still have my own teeth, my own hair, my own beliefs, my own life. I rebel slower now, but old? Yeah, maybe. But it's just a number. And it's never too late. Even though my number is 68. Thank you. I'm going to do one more and I'm going to try and find an old one. Well, I say old, older for you. That it's maybe a bit humorous. If not, I'll go for something serious. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to rake forever. I'm just going to do a serious one. It's called Lords of Plenty. I don't know if I've done it before, but I'm doing it just now. Lords of Plenty, sitting in their ivory towers, surrounded by millions of minions, yes men, kowtowing, forelock touching, backwards bowing, waiting for approval, hopefully not removal from this important position. Chief bottom wiper to His Majesty the boss, the one who doesn't give a toss because that's what he pays you for. An amorous fling with a secretary bird. It's absurd how grown-ups will fawn for some condescending words of praise. A raise will move mere mortals through concupiscence, while some would accept a cut in pay just to hear the bosses say their name. Are they to blame for the shame they suffer just to keep their position? Suits strut meanfully along fluorescent corridors, muttering, stuttering out important decisions to younger suits with clipboards, noting notes and dates relating to future meetings, throwing fleeting glances, cold stares that one is not aware that one is being spoken to. Wait for the internal memo summaring you. Fax machines whir endlessly, sending and receiving messages worldwide, there and back, attacking opposition without contrition, looking for a quick buck, not caring whose lives they wreck. The check of compensation is no consolation for the hard luck the victims had to suffer. Success is all. All is success. Wrecks lie complacent all around. And I thank you once again. I'll hopefully see you next week. Thank you.